Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger, and we are back taking a look at the new mg30 through the quicktone software. So for me, I really have been gravitating towards the what are they called? The Vox amplifiers sound really good. I really like the Voxes. Now there's some good in between stuff in here too, and really, like I hate to write anything in here off. There's some really good dirty sounds available on this thing, but the closer you get towards a 6150, the more it falls apart. I really like the dual rectifier, and I really like the diesel VH4 for that type of stuff. Now, I always run a noise gate. I do run this send and receive, and you what you can do, see, using like the katana, it always changed the tone for me, and it didn't do what I wanted it to do. I would have to put it over here, like if I wanted to have a lead boost and use it with a scene and have it get louder for a solo. What I found was uh, putting putting the send and receive loop like last and putting a cable in between it and then goosing up like a little bit volume on it, and then you when you turn that on in your scene, like you would set it up like you would have it on in one and not on in the other. So when you change scenes, then you get that volume boost out of the effects send and return. So it just depends. I mean, if you're not using your effects loop, um, you can put a cable in it and use it as a volume boost. Now, at some point, I got the idea to start putting boost pedals. So that's what I really love to do. I've got some pedal boards here. I've got one mini board that has a Silver Horse and a Rowan clean boost. Then I got one that's three pedals. It's an EP boost. It's a Timmy and then a Rev G3 pedal. And let me see, there's another one that I built. It's got a ZVEX Show. Oh, I don't even remember. Yeah, okay. It's got a Clark Gainster, an EP boost, which is, man, that is an excellent pedal. And then it's a dual pedal. It's a ZVEX Super Hard on one side and a Clock of Tone 50. So using all of these kind of boutique really good overdrives, and being able to turn them on and off in the effects loop is what I really like. This is how I really like to run the unit. So it might be smart to have your compressor first in the chain, then the send and return the effects loop for these dirt boxes, and then after that have your noise gate and your amp model. And I always use custom IRs. I don't use much of the stock IRs. Now, some of them I really like. This vintage one, I really like this. Also, for me, to start, I always put the mic on a SM57. The EQs, I use all of them. For the simplest stuff, I'll do with the Boss equalizer, but this is a really cool EQ. That's really cool what you can do with that. This one is it's just better than the Boss. You can sculpt it a lot better. And then I like here you can see I'm shelving off some lows and I'm boosting some highs. So I really love the, the 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 analog delay I use for real short stuff. Um, I don't use the digital delay. I don't use the modulation delay much. The tape echo I do for subtle stuff. The reverse echo, the way you set that up, you do the mix 100%, and you got to set the time. It needs to be set in tempo with the song, and then you put the feedback on 0, and you have that on a scene, and you have it 100% wet, and then you have to play ahead of the measure, and boy, it's the coolest effect. That's how you set that one up. Now, the pan delay is really cool. Anything like in here, in these settings around like in here and down, man, is that a cool pedal in there. Because and then you put the reverb after it, and customizing this hall reverb, you're really good to do that. That's a really good reverb, but we'll get to the reverbs. Now the duo time is where it really shines. And the way this works, you cannot turn this knob. This level control controls the mix or the level of the repeats for the whole thing. So how you set this up is you'll turn both of them down for 1 and turn it up, and then get your timing and your repeat set for 1 and memorize where they were, look at the numbers. Then you turn it down and then set up 2, and you have them opposing. And you have to have the BPM in correct for this to work, okay? So once you figure out what they both are, then you turn them both on. And typically, like, I'll have this one be twice as long as this. So it'll go like dut, 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 dut. Like almost like ping ponging, you know? And the repeats are usually set somewhere about in here. Now this parameter knob is just an additional reverb. So if you want to get really spacey, but you don't want to get this anywhere, like that's too much. It's about here is about maximum for this. The way that this reverb sounds, it's just not the best when you turn it up that much. But you can combine it to get some really spacey sounds with the traditional reverbs. Now, the room I really don't like for some heavy metal type stuff with the decay down. I use the hall reverb a lot. The plate reverb I really don't use much. I might put it on an oddball song for something different. The spring reverb I use a lot, and you can just never go wrong by just like nooning it. The shimmer, well, you'll have to figure that out on your own. I did a phase shifter with the ping pong delay and this reverb. It's on this, it's one of these, here it is. It's the shimmer first, then the now if you turn this down to 0, it doesn't go to 0 slow. You need to have it on 1 to get the slowest speed. That's an error with this. But yeah, this is how I have the shimmer set. I don't like too much of the shimmer in there. Did we go through? Oh, okay. The phi delay is a really beautiful sounding echo. It really is an awesome echo. As far as the amp models go, the Fenders, I don't know. I'm just not like I tend to swing towards the Voxes and the JC120. I guess I need to start EQing the Fenders a little higher on the hotter on the high end, because I like it bright, you know. That's what I like. But all of the Marshall stuff is really good, I think. The Soldano I really don't like. This is an excellent. This amp is not clean though. There's some amps on here that are just dirty amps, but they are really unique breakup on those. This is like more of like a modified. This is a modified Fender, I think. Is it? The Dr. Z is this Buddha has a really interesting distortion on it. I mean, with the amp models, you're gonna you're going to kind of have to figure out what you like on your own. The super reverb is great. Oh, I didn't even realize this. This is a modified. Yeah, you can hear how much more treble is on mine. So, like I said, the amps you're kind of going to have to figure out on your own. There's only one noise gate. It's pretty self-explanatory. I like using pedals. So you got to make sure that your send and return is before the noise gate. You can put the compressor in front of the noise gate. That's actually recommended, I would say. And as far as the dirt boxes go, my favorite thing is this. The Tube Screamer with the drive turned down, the level cranked, and the tone either half or all the way up, depending on how bright you want to get. But that's the one I use the most. The Distortion Plus, if you're modeling a song where you know they use this pedal, use this pedal. You can really nail some of those original tones because that pedal works great with the amp models. This is an excellent booster. You can get creative with that. This one has a little bit more hair to it, I believe. I don't like the distortion. The Tube Screamer I use all the time. The Blues Driver, I rarely use it. The Morning Drive, I use it, but it's, I don't know. I'm not that big of a fan of this model. This is the best dirt box in the bunch, if you ask me, but you got to keep this filter turned all the way up. If you start letting the high frequencies in, it gets ridiculous. This is a good one for distortion. This is a good one for distortion. It's a different flavor. The Muff is terrible. The Katana is a good clean boost, but I'd rather use my outboard stuff for that. I haven't figured this out so much. I'm sure it's useful, but it's kind of been a dud for me. The red fuzz is the only real workable fuzz in the unit if you need a fuzz sound. And then there's this touch wah, which you can get some really cool effects with this, but it's very tweaky. This is very tweaky. So the compressor, when you're starting out, this is a very good compressor, but the easiest one to do is the Rose Comp, and you just noon it. Just noon it, and you can. This really boosts the signal quite a bit, so you can use this as a booster stage too. But yeah, the Rose Comp is awesome. That's the one to start with. And I think that's about it. Now, okay, don't forget the level on the power amp. You can get more volume out of that. And then this bias knob, wherever you see that, if you're going for clean, you can turn it down. But if you want to add a little bit more hair, a little bit more volume and a little bit more hair, but you get a little bit more noise with it too. So it's not always best to just dime it, you know. That's kind of adjust to taste. Now, as far as the impulse responses go, adjusting the high cut and the low cut can really save you, especially if you're playing through a PA system. Like, there's this trick you do where you hold down the global button on the front panel, and then you go over one to output mode, and it'll say Studio Direct. Well, you turn down your high frequencies in there, and you might even want to turn them all the way down. This is how you compensate for if it's too harsh. Like if you're playing through headphones, you can have the treble turned all the way up on the pre-EQ. In the pre-EQ, that's when you hit global. That's the first thing. You should turn the trim all the way down to -12. If you don't do that, you're going to have all kinds of distortion artifacts. It's just a fact of life that they designed this thing way too hot. So that's the first thing you got to do when you get this, is hold down the global button. and then push the four-way D-pad. It loads up global settings set on the pre-EQ. So you press the D-pad and then you turn the trim all the way down to -12 and turn the treble down like halfway. It's set in the middle, so halfway in between the middle and the bottom. So you want to turn that down. They've got 4K at the top of the treble. You want to turn that down. And I also turn my output mode. I turn my treble down on that, and that just helps to keep the treble in check. Now, and another thing you can do is with your impulse responses. So the level of the impulse responses, like the stock stuff, you don't got to worry about so much. But if you're using the custom stuff, yeah. And how I like to do that is there's this thing called the collection. You can pull that up by you right click on the speaker cabinet, and then this menu will put up. So you left click on collection, and then you have to left click on the speaker cabinet again, and it will come up. And you can load in. You go here, and then where is my, okay, here's my desktop impulse response. So I just added this one, and I'm going to add another one. We'll go okay. So now I can click on these and audition them. Like this is my favorite. I like this one. You can see how close they are. Now, when you find one in here that you're going to use, you got to back out of here and right click on this and then go to user and then manually load it in. You can't really load them off of the library or the collection because they'll be different I think it defaults to the first one on the list. But basically you want it when you start out, you want to go through the amps and test all the amps clean and dirty, and then pair them up with the tube screamer clean and dirty. Figure out what all these pedals sound like so you know which ones you like and don't. That's the first job that you have, is testing the amps and testing the dirt boxes. And you do this, you don't worry about the microphone and you don't worry about the speaker cabinet or the EQ. You just set everything in the middle. Okay? Once you've figured all that out from playing with it, then you'll start to be able to, pick out your combos of what really works good for you. And then the rest of the stuff is just sweetening. It's just adjusting it to get it right in where it really sounds phenomenal. And everything else like the noise gate, the compression, the reverb modulation and delay, that's just personal taste. Like I was doing covers and so you can hear I've got a real lot of effect on there, but There's that panning delay. Um, when I program these patches for covers, I've got much less effect than so when I'm programming for my originals, I can really go nuts with the effects. I really like the effects on this thing. In order to let more of your guitar's natural tone through, you want to click parallel on these lines in here. The parallel routing, it just lets your guitar's tone come through a little more when you're using so much effect. So that parallel routing is the wise choice for me. So I'm trying to think if there was really anything else. I know this video was probably about an hour long. I think I'm going to let you guys go. Good luck with your MG30. If you have any questions, you can get a hold of me in the comments section or email me. I'd be more than willing to give you some advice or help you out, whatever I can do to make your life easier. Of course, you don't have to subscribe or tell me my music is good. As a matter of fact, just tear me to pieces. Go find some live video of me making music with my wife and just tell us how much I've let you down because I didn't play Enter Sandman. All right, you guys, take care of yourselves. Have fun with your new ex, and I will talk to you later. Peace.